Hey everybody, Mike here. Today we're going to be installing a differential breather kit for the rear differential on a 2005 Toyota 4runner. So if you just follow along with me, I'm going to try to go through this step by step as best I can and show you what you need to do in order to install this for you. To where you're going to be going through high water that would go over the rear differential on 2005 and other Toyota products like Tacomas and FJ Cruisers, Land Cruisers. The rear diff breather is located just on top of the rear differential, so there's not much clearance that you get. So if you get any water that's going to go over the rear differential, it's going to get in that rear breather, and that can cause all kinds of problems with the rear differential. It can cause you get debris in there, you get dirty water in there. That's no good for the rear diff. So you're gonna have to change that, change out the oil that's in there on a regular basis. So this just relocates the breather to a higher location in the vehicle to be able to go through those higher standing water. So, anyways, hope you enjoy, and just like I said, follow along, and I'll try to make this step by step as possible. Thanks. Okay, so before we get started, I just want to go over the parts that you're going to need for this project here. So first off, you're going to need a adapter. This is going to go into your rear differential. This is what you're going to plug the hose into, and this is just a 5/16 adapter. It just screws right into the top of the rear diff where you're going to find the breather, and that is the Toyota part number right there. And the other part that you're going to order is the rear, the differential breather. So this is has the same type of end on there, about 5/16 end, and that's the part number for that. And this one is not a spring-loaded breather. This is just an open breather, so it's going to be open no matter what. So the breather that you're going to take off your vehicle has a spring on there, and it's supposed to close up if the temperature inside the rear diff drops, and so it's going to it would close up and create like a vacuum. So this is open, so it will keep the pressure balanced at all times. The last thing that you're going to need is going to be a hose. This is, I just picked up at the local hardware store. So again, 5/16, about 10 feet, and probably about 14 bucks for that, or about $5 or $6 and change. So. Okay, and not only on top of that, you're probably going to want to pick up some hose clamps and zip ties. So I'll show you that as I install. I just picked up at the local hardware store. Okay, so one of the first things you're going to want to do is you want to lower down that spare tire if it's located under your vehicle. As in the case of the 4runner, it's located under the vehicle. So there you go. You can see on the other side of the spare there, you can see the rear differential. Spare tire's in the way, so we're going to go ahead and get that out of the way to give us more room to work. For lowering the spare tire, it's a simple part of your kit for changing your spare or changing your tire. So to get the spare down, you come with these pieces that sticks in through a little hole in the back. You got to open up the rear hatch in order to get into that hole, and just put it in until you feel it fit into the pulley, and then you crank it down. So we're gonna go ahead and do that now. Okay, so with the spare tire out of the way, we can get underneath here. And so there's the rear diff right there. And right on top, right there, it's a little hard to see, but right there is your rear differential breather. So we're going to go ahead and take that off. We're going to put on the adapter, put on that hose, and we're going to extend it up higher in the vehicle. So we're thinking, let's see here, I'm gonna bring it up, probably bring it up somewhere around the rear tail light on the driver's side. So that's the goal. If not, we'll figure out something. One of the things you're going to want to do is put some masking tape on the end of the hose as you feed it through to get to wherever you're going to place it in your car, so you don't get any debris down in it, whether it be dirt or grease or whatever, so that when you go ahead and put on the new breather, you don't have anything in the tube, so it's all nice and clean. Okay, so here's what ended up happening. Came up through underneath the vehicle through a couple of rubber grommets, and as you can see, we had to take off some trim pieces Okay, the trim piece that goes right here. I had to get into this side trim piece, and it's located right here. Kind of hard to tell, but it's located right there through that little rubber grommet there. So I drilled a hole, stuck the diff breather in there, and then on the other side, see if I can't show you that. Okay, this is the underside of where it's going to come out at. So you got two holes here, one here and one here. It's kind of hard to tell inside, but the one grommet is right there for where the diff breather comes through. And I hooked the hose up to it, hose clamp, and then routed it through there. It's a little bit of a bend, but it's okay. It's not too sharp. It's not actually kinked or anything. But it's definitely quite a tight turn there. And now we're going to route it through underneath the vehicle. I don't know exactly where it's going to go yet, but it's going to go somewhere around there and end up on top of the differential over there. Okay, so here's what I ended up doing. So coming out of the rear grommet there, it's running along the fill hose for the gasoline. So it's zip tied there, it's zip tied there, and then it comes across over the rear cross frame, member frame right there, and down. It's going to drop down, and there's the rear diff right there, but we're going to go ahead and put the adapter on and shove the hose on top, put a clamp on it, and call it good. Okay, so while you were away, we went ahead and took off the old differential breather, which is right there, and see, it's pretty dirty, but the threads came off clean and everything. And that was a 14 millimeter socket, or not socket, but a wrench I used. That is a 12 millimeter wrench in order to get the new one on, so just keep that in mind. So went ahead and put a little bit of Teflon tape on there around the threads, and threaded it on very carefully. Don't try to get any debris while it's out into the differential, because that's going to contaminate the oil. And so now we have this nice little adapter. Okay, one thing I want to mention before I button this all up is you're going to want to make a little bit of extra room. You're going to want a little extra loop or hose. I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of curled there before it runs back. You want a little extra, so when you are off-roading and your suspension is articulating and everything, and you come off something where you're going to have your rear end up in the air, possibly, you want to take that into account. You don't want to be pulling on that hose and either pulling the end off or breaking something, because like I said, this is attached to my fuel fill hose right there. It's metallic, so it's pretty sturdy, but to zip tie this hose to, but you definitely don't want to be yanking on that and possibly busting something off. So anyways, just a little extra and you'll be good. Doesn't take much. I mean, that's actually probably more than what I need. I tested it already by jacking the rear end of the vehicle up in the air to where the rear axle came down all the way to the stops, and I still had plenty of hose. So there you go. Okay, that's pretty much the finished product right there. So we got our adapter on with our hose and our hose clamp. It's running back along the fuel fill hose all the way to, let's see here, right through that rubber grommet right there, up to the inside. If I can't show you, up to the inside of the vehicle, right to there. So that means that if water is getting up to that high, which as you can see along the vehicle is way above the bottom of the doors. We're talking what, about this high or so. If you got water coming in there, you got bigger problems than just your rear differential. You'll probably be floating down the water crossing. Anyways, I'll show you when it's all buttoned back up. Okay, so there you got it. Everything's all put back together. So just for reiteration again, the diff breather is probably right about here underneath this piece of plastic. So I had to take this piece off, had to take this off, how to take these things out in order to gain access. And there's a screw right underneath here that you just take out, Phillips head, and then just kind of pull on this a little bit. You don't have to take the whole thing out down the entire line. Just pull it back enough so that you can get access to the rubber grommet that's right about here. And so anyways, that's about it. So put everything back, put your spare back up underneath, and there you go. So I hope that was informative, and I hope that you got something out of it. Showed you what a rear diff breather modification would look like. And don't be afraid of trying it out on your vehicle. If you are the type of person that takes your vehicle into high water, definitely going to want to do that modification. So I hope that showed you step by step as to what to do. If you like what you saw, go and hit the like button. If you have any comments, please leave them below. And if you really liked what you saw, go and hit that subscribe button and subscribe to my channel.